Pain. I have learned over time that pain has a personality. It can take over completely, to either paralyze you in defeat, or propel you in strength, to a place where you find purpose. It could be the pain of a business loss, a relationship gone sour, a failed career, a failed marriage, or, in my case, a child buried too early. Whatever your pain is, you can choose how to allow that pain to determine the outcome of your life. Walk with me through my journey of how I have allowed my pain to grow into a purpose so amazing and glorious. Justin, Growing Through the Pain of Loss, is a real-life account worth reading. Get your copy from Amazon and other leading online retail bookstores.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another edition of Author's Corner. For the last sort of 4 weeks, we've been running this special edition where we've been looking at what you need to know to publish your book. And it's been an exciting time for us. And as usual, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We cannot say enough of that. Just thanking you for all the support online, for all those who have called in, not just on this program, across all the different programs that we've been having as Interface Media, we are grateful. Thank you so much for that support. It means so much to us. And today we're going to continue that journey. Just before we got on set, Akin and myself were talking about this, and the fact that there's so much information that we have shared in the last sort of 3 sessions. So again, check on YouTube, we've got it there. Facebook, we've got this there. You can always go back to some of those ones and access the information there. Also, please do remember, if you've got questions, just type them in. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube, type the questions in, and we'll do our best to answer those live on the show. And where we're not able to answer them live, we'll try to get back to you after the show. So once again, thank you to everyone. I hope that you've had some inspiration along the way as you have taken this journey with us to this week. Akin, I'm sure you've got some words you want to say before we start to dig into this.
Well, you said so many thank yous, but yeah, I mean the words once again are thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, we appreciate everything. I mean, your every word, your every piece of advice, your every comment, your encouragement. We appreciate it all. And we're here thinking that we're giving out advice, but your comments are making us better, and we really appreciate that. And even though this is like the last in the series, I mean, like Akin said, if you've still got questions, don't hesitate to send those questions. We'll try the best we can to answer those questions anyway. So this is not the end.
Absolutely. All right. So I think what we're going to do today is that there's some key points from the previous sessions that we said we were going to get to, and somehow we kept running out of time. We're going to deal with some of those today, and then we're going to do a quick recap of some of the points that we had touched on, just to make sure that people know what to go back to and what we have in these sessions. And we've got some interesting news at the end of this. Next week is going to be a very exciting time. You definitely do not want to miss next week's show. Look, it's going to be, I'm going to keep that secret till the end, if I can. We'll keep that secret till the end, but next week, you just don't want to miss next week. Quickly hit that subscribe or share this, do whatever you need to do, but you don't want to miss next week. All right, so we've got the big issue, Akin, that we need to deal with, and it's this issue called copyright. For a lot of people, copywriting and the whole concept of copyright is a big challenge. People sometimes ask the question, what is there to write that has not been written? So let me put the question to you first and get you to respond to that, and then we start to build on it going forward.
Question: what is there to write that has not been written? But the question, maybe the answer is, who has written it the way you want to write it?
Okay.
But yeah, the question with copyright pops up quite a bit, and there's issue like, is it a big deal? Do I really need to? I mean, like Akin said, it's all been written anyway, so what's new? But like what I just said, I mean, the thing is that it's the way it's written is really sometimes what makes it different. And if you don't copy something, most of the time you realize that the way you write something is original. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a book, whether it's a song, whether it's a poem, the way you write it it's you, it's original. So therefore, yes, the copyright is important and all that. And the question that pops up again is, okay, so if a copyright is important, how do I then copyright my material? And uh, um, the simple answer is that once you actually write something, you understand, and it's published or it's sent out or whatever, that copyright automatically is yours, and that's because of a convention. It's called the Berne Convention for Protection of Literary and Artistic Works, and I think that was established some time back anyway. And what all that formally does is that it formally mandated that several aspects of modern copyright law, and it just introduced the concept that the copyright exists the moment the work is fixed. That's what happens. So what happens is that rather than requiring you to register your work, the second you actually write your work, or you write the book, you write your manuscript, your song, and all that, the second you send it out and it hits the public domain, it's yours. You understand? Now, the problem with that sometimes, and this is what me and Akin were discussing, is that, okay, so you've written this thing, it's published, everyone knows you're the owner of the copyright and all that, but suddenly out of nowhere you realize that your work is being used. And you're a bit confused. You're like, okay, that sounds like me. That I wrote that piece. That's mine. How do I get it down? Now, okay, that's where it gets a bit it can get a bit interesting, because you can do a lot of running around to ensure that ultimately you bring that work down, but it could take a while. And one thing that we've looked into is, at times that you could actually now register your work with a third party. Now, what that does is that when you register that work with a legal third party, the second you notify us that your work is being used in a different domain, or and all that, we actually just contact that third party. They do the legwork and ensure that wherever that piece of work is, anywhere, once we tell them where we've seen it and all that, they ensure that work comes down with immediate effect. So, in the long and short, the copyright is always yours. Once it's registered with this third party, we ensure that even if someone tries to use it, we get it down. So don't worry, you're safe.
Yeah.
You know the copyright.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's a very important point when you're dealing with publishers, whether it's self-publishing or with, I think more so with the traditional publishers, it's very important to outline right from the start who owns the copyright. And apart from that, you also want to be clear on what we call territorial rights, right? So, for example, you could have a book that is sold in a certain part of the world at, let's say, hypothetically, let's say you sell it in what we call the lower economic countries for maybe half the price you would sell it in the more developed economies. And what you have some of the times is that some people may feel, you know what, I'm just going to do a bulk buy of that book from one particular region and bring it into another region and sell it there. Those kind of things are things that you need to be careful about when it comes to understanding the whole concept around territorial rights. Now, within Syncterface Media and with us, the author retains 100% of their copyright. They decide what they want to do with the book. Okay, so that's not something that we hold back any of the copyright. You can do whatever you want to do with the book. You can choose to then give other people rights to sell it in a certain market. There are things to bear in mind if you do choose to do that, and some of which we'll talk about. But it's important for you to know where those rights are and who holds the rights to the book. Otherwise, you can say, well, it has my name on it. I wrote the book. How come someone else owns the rights to the book? Again, it depends on the contract you negotiated at the time you were dealing with that publisher. So please, please, please do not rush into signing any contract with any publisher. Read through the lines. If you're dealing with some of the bigger organizations and even the smaller organizations, you may want to get some legal advice before you go into any contractual terms. Now, another
Yeah.
point, Aki, do you want to say something there before I move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Well, it's just advisable most of the time, as long as it is within your ability. Try and hold on to the work that's yours. You see, the thing about it is that it's a creative work which has been given to you. Do you understand? I always say that when someone wants to get the copyright for the work someone else has done, it doesn't sit well with me. So so I always say that, look, if you've done a work, try as much as you can to hold on to your copyright. Do you understand? It might cost you a few things along the way, but ultimately the gains are yours. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Try remember this, that once that work is out there, it can get really, really painful for you to see somebody else gaining financially over what is yours, for which you now no longer have rights. And that is just something that nobody wants to see that happen. You don't want to see somebody making money from your book while you are there, and or you are getting the pennies out of this. But I think one of the key points, though, in terms of the copyright position, is you also need to make sure that you run your work, even before you get to your publisher, run your work through software. There's software out there these days that will help you check if you are running foul of copyright laws, if there are sentences, there are references in your material that is verbatim of what someone else has written, and you can then make a call on whether or not to include that in your material. But please do check these things out. Check them out. You don't want to have spent time working on something and then suddenly somebody shows up and says, you stole my work, right? And it doesn't matter that you didn't know about that work. The fact here is someone had already done something that encapsulated what you were also doing, and they had already asserted their rights as the copyright owners for that particular area. So please do watch out for copyright issues. A lot of people have been stung on this, but also make sure you check this out. Another thing you would notice is in the title page, and this is where you see some of the assertions relating to copyright. And that title page is, you open a book, you would have that copyright page at the back, and you would have a whole list of who owns the copyright to the material. One thing that we also see quite often is where you see copyright is owned by one person, but then the material is printed maybe in a country by a different printer, right? Now, that is okay. Somebody printing the material locally because it gives some form of cost advantage is not the same as anybody infringing on your copyright laws. Where they start to infringe on your rights is where they take elements of your book and they start to use it and they put someone else's name on it, or put their name on it. that's that's where that gets very, very difficult. But yeah, there's nothing wrong in having, say, published in the United Kingdom, printed in Canada, for example, or printed in the United States, or printed in Nigeria or in Africa, in some of these other countries that we have authors. And in fact, I think we have a number of authors who have chosen to print locally because they found that that worked out better for them, and that's also fine in terms of the copyright issue. So please
Yeah.
bear in mind copyright issues. Akin, do you have anything to say on that before we move on?
Yeah, one last one. Now, like Akin said, there's loads of software you can use to just check out whether you're infringing on someone else's copyright and all that. But the thing about it, if you realize that you've written something and it's kind of like built into your material and all that, another thing you could do is you either, I mean, since you've noticed it, you're going to have to acknowledge that person within your material.